The only drawback is that the original creator, the original inventor does not get the credit or the monetary benefits that they are entitled to. So I have distributed my presentation
Arjun,
into four basic parts.
sorry to interrupt in between. I think we have to start. I have to start again because you're like there's so much of disturbance coming from your end. I think it's a not stable internet connection or what.
No, sir, the speed is up to 150 Mbps as I can see right now. Let me switch to my mobile
So
data.
we are not getting proper feed. So can you just start once again? Just start once again.
Okay, sir.
Keep
Uh,
your video off and then start again.
okay, sir. So, good afternoon to everyone here. I would like to
Okay.
thank you. Is it okay now? Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm very sorry for the interruption that has been caused. And I would like to restart just by saying good afternoon to all. Thank you to Verispire and Mr. J for providing us all the facilities and opportunities for doing this, even though we are apart from each other. Intellectual properties are the basic creation or invention that someone creates, and after creating, they are entitled for any sort of benefits, monetary benefit, or credit that they deserve. But if someone copies it and sells or maybe produces under their own name, the credit or the benefit that they're entitled to, they don't get. So here are some very famous intellectual property infringements that has taken place over a period of time. I have distributed my presentation into four most basic parts. There's our introduction, how exactly this all IPR thing works, and I have compiled some cases, and I'll be ending by telling all of you some interesting facts about intellectual property. So, basic introduction is that the sole purpose of getting invention patent that it can't be claimed by someone else. If I have created something, I am entitled to get all the benefits, monetary benefits, credits that I deserve. And if someone tries to copy or recreate the content, then I have all the rights to sue him in a court or over jurisdiction. And how exactly these things work in background. Let's say if someone creates a product X and says, look at my product, person B responds that no, this thing has already been patented. Then person A asks, okay, bring me some sort of documentation. Person B responds him with an official patent certificate or maybe the patent document that is present over patent database. And person is not ready to accept that. He is still saying that my invention is not anything that could infringe yours. So person B just files a case and asks him to see in court. And let's move on to some cases. The first very famous and very significant case in our Indian judicial history could be Bajaj Auto Limited versus TVS Motor. Basically, all the motorcycles or bikes have a spark engine through which the fuel is ignited, so the entire mechanism can work. Bajaj Auto Limited designed their DTSI system, Digital Twin Spark Ignition System, in 2005, but still TVS Motor Company used it unauthorizingly in 2009. And later TVS Motor Company was sued by Bajaj Automobiles. And this case went up to 2 years. Nothing was clarified. So, at the end of the case, when the case was just closed and over friendly relationship, Supreme Court made it very clear that all the intellectual property cases should be winded up within 4 months of filing. Any case cannot exceed a period of 4 months. Coming up to next case, this case goes very old in history. And this is case between Sir Isaac Newton and Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. We also know him as Leibniz. So Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz invented the calculus, and he published his papers in various journals between 1684 to 1686. Later, Sir Isaac Newton just came out of nowhere and said that he is father of calculus, and he also published theories in 1704 in his book named Optics. And Leibniz sued Newton about this case, but later, after a period of time, Leibniz passed away and case was nothing to be proceeded. And today we know Mr. Sir Isaac Newton as father of calculus. Coming up to third case, so now here we can conclude one thing that intellectual property not only relates to something that is tangible, any intangible thing like a formula, a method, any mechanism can also be patented. Now here comes a case of S. Victor Whitmill versus Warner Bros. Entertainment Incorporation. Warner Bros. Entertainment Incorporation is a very big industry that trades in movie making and cinematography. So in 2012, a movie was released, The Hangover Part 2, and one of the actor, um, he had a tattoo. The I have represented the tattoo that was inked on his face. And this was an original creation of S. Victor Whitmill. S. Victor Whitmill sued Warner Bros. Entertainment Incorporation, and this led to digitally remastering of the tattoo in the movie, and some undisclosed amount of compensation was also paid to the artist. So this makes more clear that the patent and intellectual property things does not leads to anything physical. Artwork, music, books, formula, mechanism, anything can be come under intellectual property. This is also very interesting case. Kent Arrow System and Amit Kotak. So Amit Kotak held some web services and web hosting services, and Kent Arrow System used to they still manufacture water purifier system, and they sold it via Amit Kotak's website. Amit Kotak get all the information and all the things that would be required for manufacturing a same looking water purifier unit. He took advantage of this thing. He manufactured very same looking water purifiers and sold it under name of Kentaro system. Later this case also went to court and Amit Kotak was charged by fraud and debauchery. And here's also a case that comes Microsoft Corporation versus Toronto's I4I Incorporation. So basically, every one of us uses Microsoft Word, and even mobile devices such as Android and iPhones have an auto correction feature or spell check feature. So basically, Toronto's I4I designed and developed this thing, auto correction and spell check feature. Microsoft Incorporation just took their source code and compiled it in their version 2003 and 2007. And later, when I4I came to know about this thing, they charged Microsoft. And the attorneys of Microsoft were so very sure about that they can't lose because being such a big corporation, they can take over anything as and when they want. But this was not the case. Microsoft Incorporation has to pay an amount of $290 million dollars to Toronto's I4I, and they also have to remove this feature from their Word 2010 version before making it commercialized. And here comes one more, the last part, as I would like to say some interesting facts about intellectual property. So, all of us know Thomas Alva Edison. He is the inventor of incandescent lamp or light bulbs, as we say. So, first of all, Thomas Alva Edison holds a total 1903 patents in his lifetime. So, anyone can file any number of patents until unless it falls in the criteria of being patented. And the most interesting fact is he never invented the light bulb. He only took a 50-year-old idea that was devised by two Canadians and he just improved and filed a patent. Although the entire idea was of two Canadians, but the Canadians sold their light bulb idea to Thomas Alva Edison and he manufactured and got it patented. Alexander Graham Bell, we all know him as a inventor of telephone. So he patented the telephone on 14th of February 1876. And after patenting the telephone patent, another man named Elisha Gray visited the patent office to get the same very thing patented. But just because he got delayed by any means for few hours, he was not able to get the patent under his name. Instead, Alexander Graham Bell won the patent, and today we know him as inventor of telephone. And I would like to wind up here. I would like to thank you to everyone present here. My name was Prasun Gupta, and thank you very much.